Well, hello. My name is Dr. Stephen Mark Hayden, and I'm here to bring you a message from antivirusair.com. That message is that SARS-CoV-2 virus is affected by electrical charges. That's interesting. Now, why do I say that? Well, we know that ionizers are used to remove submicron particles from the air. For instance, what they have confirmed, which I already predicted, I predicted that back in, I think it was February and March of this year, that ionized air on airplanes would be excellent at removing the particles. Guess what? It is. You know why? Because SARS is often a submicron particle. It is very small, and the smaller a particle gets, the more it is often influenced by electrostatic charges. And you might say, I've never heard of that. But in a way, you really have. Remember, an electron is really small. Is an electron affected by positive and negative charges? Sure it is. How about a proton? Yep. How about little charged ions and molecules? Yep. Well, if you'll go to the Antivirus Air website, you can see that a virus can function as a capacitor. And why this came of interest to me was when a virus acts as a charged particle, you can explain superspreader events. Wow, what is a superspreader event? It's when one person goes in and spreads a long, long way to a bunch of people. Let me tell you what a superspreader event is not. A superspreader event is not when I spread within 6 feet or 7 feet. I can only spit about 6 or 7 feet. But when I have a charged particle and it comes out, it might stay in the air for 2 or 3 hours. It might go a long, long way. And one of the things that inspired me was I look at a lot of foreign media, including media in South Korea, the KoreanHerald.com, and I followed the COVID spread when it was over there and they were having super spreader events in South Korea. A prime example of that is there was a huge auditorium, like 9,000 people, and somebody was singing, and as they sang, the virus came out of their chest and inoculated 50, 100, 150 people or more at one time. And many of those people weren't sitting right next to them. And guess what? That's not the way flu works, is it? That's not the way the other viruses that you've seen works, right? There was something special about this way this virus could spread at times. That was known very, very early. The CDC did not candidly admit that airborne spread was possible. Of course, they were into, yay, 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 let's all wear a mask. And yet we see that people who still wear a mask can still get exposed. The reality is that it should have been obvious to anybody with a good physics background and anybody with a background in biological weapons or air ionization or air purification of submicron particles. Anybody with that kind of education should have seen all the big blinking signs, warning signs that charge affects the spread of the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Now, I applied for a patent, and I applied for that patent in China. Yeah, that doesn't mean that I'm a communist. I'm not a member of the Chinese Communist Party. I do believe in that I had to take care of my brother, and that the early followers of Christ had all things in common. They cared about each other. And I think we should have things in common, care about the common man and the common good. So today I'm going to give you I don't have a patent. The patent is just an application. And it may or may not be granted. But I want you to understand this information in case you want to try some of this equipment for yourself. Now, things in life have a risk-benefit ratio. What is the risk of using this apparatus right here? It's about zero, except You have pain when you get shocked. Is the shock dangerous? Not unless you have a pacemaker or something electronic on your body. Is there a risk that you could short circuit either your watch or your phone? Yes. So take off your watch, take off your phone, and before you use it. Now, what is this used for? This is called the Van de Graaff generator. And it takes electrons and it moves the charge up here, and you can have a very high voltage, like 10, 20,000 volts, tens of thousands of volts. Is that scary? Not really, as long as the amps are very, very low. Remember the electric cattle fences? You bump up against them, you get a big shock. That's kind of the way this works. They use this in high school. If you go to Wikipedia on electrostatics, it is generally safe. There should be little or no chemical effects. And let's just see how this works. This is available on Amazon. Now, am I offended if you should use this for your own benefit? No. Will I stop you from using this for your own benefit? No. As long as something is not used for financial gain, patents and patent applications and patent rights are rarely enforced. That means that there's nothing to stop you from buying one of these on Amazon, paying $200 or $300, and if you should get COVID fatigue, using it to see if your COVID fatigue gets better, or using it as a science experiment. So, let me take off my shirt, and I will put my shirt over here. I'll take off my electronic watch, okay? I don't have a pacemaker or anything electronic on my body. One of the things I want to do is, we need to talk about this. I wrote the CDC, and I said originally on my Antivirus Air website, I said that sound is almost certainly present 99% of the time when the virus is spread. The biggest super spreader events was by far the most well known is that one that happened over in the South Korean churches during church singing. Almost always when people are singing or speaking, the noise vibrates their chest. And it is my impression that vibration of the chest can vibrate the alveolus where the COVID virus is growing. It breaks it loose, and when it breaks loose from my body, it carries the same charge as the rest of my body. And because like charges oppose each other, it can actually come out all the way from my alveolus and shoot out my mouth. And yet it's so small you won't see it. So people are exhaling charged virus. And in my impression, or it's my expectation, they exhale more virus when they're charged. Now, what the government doesn't want you to do is go to a singing in a small, tight room, because then you're likely to spread a lot of virus. However, there's something that happens when you have charged virus. And that means that a lot of the virus is actually killed. Because when it picks up a charge, it actually discharges and actually can kill some of the infectivity of the virus. At any rate, let me show you what this does. This belt is transferring a charge. Now, I feel a little bit of it. I don't know whether you can see this or not. I have a HEPA filter fan over there, and that is to purify the air in case any of the virus comes out of me. I don't want any virus that comes out of me to be inhaled by somebody else. I can't guarantee that all of it, 99.99999% of the virus is dead, so I'd rather be running an air filter. I don't want to have other people in the room who are very susceptible or vulnerable because I got an air filter. And so, now, this concrete has rebar flowing through it. And the charge that builds up on me is not all that great. But this is a plastic insulator, and when I go to stand on it, suddenly, whoa, I'm getting the charge now. I'm feeling it. It's building up. Can you see the hair? Is my hair standing up? There you go. That thing's kicking now. So, Am I talking? Am I making noise? Yes, I am. Now, there's been some animal studies that suggest that electrostatics can cause a very high increase in the amount of virus that's actually ejected. Would it be wonderful if, by vibrating my chest with sound and by giving myself an electrical charge, I could basically exhale massive amounts of virus instead of keeping it in? It would be wonderful. Let me tell you what would be wonderful about it. If you have something that's not good for you, do you want to keep it inside? Well, the virus in my small intestines helps my immunity, but the virus in my alveolus and my lungs, it's no good at all. It's just going to trigger a huge autoimmune response. I don't want COVID in my alveolus and in my trachea. I want to get it out. So what I do is I sing, I make noise, my chest vibrates, and I try to get these charged particles coming out. Now, has that been absolutely proven one way or another? No. What is it based on? It's based on my understanding of physics, and I have seen people that have used this apparatus and they have, by the next day, felt much better when they have had COVID fatigue. One or two cases, does not justify proof of something. I agree to that. However, it's built on sound principles, and I believe it has certainly not been proven untrue, and there's a rationale for it. Is this safer than taking the latest newfangled drug that hasn't been experimented on? Electrical shocks have been tested on millions of farm animals that walk around in a pen that get shocked. It doesn't poison them. Hey, electrostatic shocks, this is a child's toy. It's used a lot of time in demonstration in high school. Is this safe? Yes, it is. Now, caution. Can it be painful? Let me show you about pain. I'm going to shock myself deliberately. Do you see that shock? That's 2 shocks, 3 shocks, 4 shocks, 5 shocks, 6 shocks, 7 shocks, 8 shocks, 9 shocks, 10 shocks. I have probably shocked myself with this one machine a couple of 100 times. My blood pressure is the same. My chemistries are the same. I haven't had no known side effects. Now, if I had seizure disorder, probably those people, I don't know, somebody with electrical disturbance, if you categorize a seizure disorder as an electrical disturbance, whatever, no, probably not. If they had a pacemaker, no. If they have anything electrical on their body, no. If they have a history of arrhythmias, should they use something like this? No. Let other people try it by the millions before you try it. If they're young, if they're in a state where they have COVID fatigue, one thing that I try to tell people when they have COVID fatigue is, get outside and sing. The problem with that is, when you have COVID fatigue, you're too tired to get outdoors and you're too tired to sing. Technically, based on, it is my impression that by doing an electrostatic shock, you make yourself far more efficient at exhaling charged virus. And that the virus comes off me has the same charge as on my hand. So, is it painful? Yes, a little bit. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's about a 6. Is it short? It's very short acting. Is it effective? I've seen about 5 or 6 people use this. And almost every one, well, virtually every one, last one of them was better the next day. Now, that's prone to operator bias, but is there probably something to it? Yes. Will I get the patent? I don't know. Am I going to enforce the patent rights against you if you use it? As long as you don't charge people money, there's no reason for me to. Does that make sense? And if you are in a foreign country and want to investigate this, I certainly don't have a problem with you investigating it. Is it an expensive piece of equipment? No. Is it safe? It's far safer than a lot of the things that have been tried for other research projects. So, is this something that should be investigated further? Absolutely. And do I think it's based on sound principles? Yes. So, if you can see now, we have to talk about how to unwind. I'm going to get, first of all, I'm going to show two ways to unwind. First of all, when I step down, now I'm going to lower my threshold because I'm now down on the concrete instead of up on the top step. So my voltage has decreased, okay? Now that was a neat look. Now I've still got a charge, I still feel it. And in fact, when you hear that pop, I'm feeling it over here on my skin. I'm still charged. Now, I'm still charged. I'm grounded now. I'm trying to get rid of that charge. I'm touching these bolts over here that are grounded. So I'm trying to get that voltage out. The amount of charge that I picked up is far, far greater than the people that were charged at the super spreader events. Once you reach a certain level of voltage, it's likely that the virus particles that come off of the speaker have so much energy that when they discharge and touch something that is a conductor, they actually kill the virus, kill the infectivity. So these are things that need to be investigated. These are the basis of my patent and the basic principles of the patent. It's safe. It is possibly effective. And of course, I'd be biased, and I believe that it is effective. But is it built on sound principles? Yes. That is the reason why ionizers work, because submicron particles carry charge. That is really the way your HEPA mask works. Charged particles that cluster together. Of course, is a lot of that just boring physics? Physics can be boring, but it's really very important to discuss. That type of thing, electrostatics, physics, charge, submicron particles are not usually part of the medical school. And this was not I'm not the average doctor. But it's all built on sound basic principles, and I think it's accurate. So how many times when people use it? Most of the time when I've seen people use it, they only use it 5 minutes. And usually by the next day, they feel better. Mainly for COVID fatigue. I have not used it on intensive care patients or critically ill patients. I don't see critically ill patients. The only people I want to see is community COVID fatigue. That's all I'm interested in. So the idea that you can actually exhale stuff instead of keeping it in your chest and aggravating your immune system. I tell people, I say, if you still are feeling so much fatigue, it may be that your body can't clear all the virus out, and that when you clear it out, you'll feel better. That is a basic principle that I used to tell people when we had an abscess. When you have an abscess, you cut the abscess and you let the pus run out. Well, when you got COVID down in your airways, you charge yourself up and you get the COVID out. You don't leave it in there to cause you problems. Get it out. And it's just that simple. I hope you found this interesting today. You're not going to shock yourself to death with this, as long as you don't have heart disease, heart arrhythmias, pacemaker, epilepsy. But don't do anything without talking to your doctor first. And in fact, you might want to buy one and just ask your doctor to use it before you do. Thank you for your time and attention today. Have a good day. Thank you.